awesome week so far. For all of the mamas out there, I hope it was a great Mother's Day for you on Sunday. We got blessed in our family with a new baby today. My nephew and his wife had baby number 4. So pretty excited about that. And they gave her my grandmother's name as her middle name, which just brings so much joy to my heart. My grandmother Heath was one of those people if you ever met her, you would never forget her. And I just pray that I get to be that in other people's lives, an unforgettable presence, not an unforgettable force, but an unforgettable presence. And so this lady is one of those people, an unforgettable presence. I just love how she shows up in our tribe and is always answering questions and there to help and supports her team and just does a really great job at life. So Dr. Christine, welcome.
Thank you. That was super nice.
Yeah, well, he calls them like he sees them. Plus, she plays a lot of tennis, and so I kind of vicariously live through her because I used to years ago, but since we moved here, I don't play. I've only played a few times since we moved here. So I hung up my tennis shoes and racket for hiking and a gun.
That's all right. Shooting is fun too.
What's that? Yeah, that's fun too.
Fun too.
Except right now, it is bear season thick. So now if the gun's going off, it probably means that there's maybe not such a fun situation. So Christine, tell us a little bit about your journey. You're joining us from Florida. How long have you been there?
I moved here in the end 2013. Yep, June.
And what took you guys to Florida?
It's a long story. I had a big practice in Illinois, a little town in Peatone, about 35 miles outside of the city of Chicago. And I had a lot of employees, just me as the only doctor. And I was probably 50% insurance. And man, things were changing, and they were changing quickly. And my sister was my front desk person, my insurance person. And I turned to her one day and I said, the day that we spend more time doing paperwork than we do helping patients, I'm done. You shouldn't. And I was like, she's my older sister. I'm like, you should know that. Like, it's getting closer. And she says, well, I'm with you. And that day came. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois hired a physical therapy entity to claim review. And they wanted claim reviews every 2 visits, which you know what a zoo it is sending notes anywhere, So I kind of looked around and said, all right, I've had enough. Other things were happening, but that was really the straw. And I think I was a little burned out too. So I put my practice up for sale. We had already purchased a home in Florida. It was supposed to be a vacation home. And I just said, it's big enough for us to live in. Let's just move. My husband works from home. He's over in his office doing his thing. And we did. I sold and we moved.
I love that. And you know what I love is that you set up a boundary and said, I know this about myself. And so when we get there, I'm out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you talk to anyone that hiked the, I think it's the Cumberland Mountains. No, I'm sorry. The
Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
That's one of the rules is like, you have to have had a full like a good night of sleep, a shower, talk to your family, and a full belly before you quit. Like if you're like a true Appalachian, I'm going to do the whole trail. Right. It's kind of the best part of their creed, as it were. And you just set it up like when these things happen, I'm out. And so now your practice is a studio, so different than that you had in Illinois. Are you liking this?
I like this. I wasn't going to go back in. Everybody said, you're going to go back into chiropractic. Are you crazy? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm done. I'm burned out. I'm tired. Well, about 3 weeks in my new home doing nothing, I was like, I got to get back to work. Well, I had to take boards Part 4 boards didn't exist when I graduated. And so I had to take Part 4 boards. And unfortunately, my application got in one day after the deadline. I had to wait an entire year to take my boards. So it took a year to prep and to take boards. And then I opened a little 900 square foot office. And that was really good, but we were growing really fast. And we had a bottleneck problem because I had one adjusting table, one adjusting room, and decided to move 2018, October 2018, to a bigger space. And I hired one extra person. I think that's where I'm going to hold. I think that's where I'm staying.
That's awesome. And so part of this message is to those of you, we were just have our boot camp mama call. And one of the moms was like, you know what? I just feel like I'm like starting all over after this COVID thing, because she practices in a state that the mandates were really strict about the number of people and when you could practice, all that kind of stuff. She's like, I just feel like I'm starting over. And another mama on the call is pregnant with baby number 2. And I said, you know what, that mama, she's getting ready to start all over. Like that new baby is going to come and it's going to be like sleepless nights. It's going to be like hurting nipples. It's going to be poopy diapers. It's going to be puked on. It's going to be like all of these things, like starting over. Like that's part of the circle of life, is starting over. New relationships, new friends, people come, people go, and just like in practice. And so I want to encourage all of you that are kind of feeling like, oh, I'm having to restart. Like, look at it as a challenge, because now you're restarting your practice with so much more wisdom, so much more experience. Your community is hungrier for you than ever before. So, you know, our future is determined by our perspective. Like
If you don't look at it as a challenge and something that you want to conquer, then all it is work. And I don't think any of us are in this to just work. You can get a job and work anywhere. So,
nice. Go further than that.
I've had my ups and downs. I mean, I had my day where I was just like, oh my God, I put all this. I had the best first quarter since I've been here. And like Hurricane Irma didn't help me out 2 years ago. Like that was a problem. I was without electricity for something like 3 weeks. So we tried to see patients. It didn't work out so well. But yeah, so I was coming up on my best year then, and then Irma. And there took some getting back to. Patients, you know, I have a lot of snowbirds. They weren't coming back to Florida. They had to repair their homes, and it's like they were choosing where they were spending their money, and they weren't coming back. And so it took a whole year to recover from that, and then this. So I have my ups and downs too. There are days where I sit and go, Jesus, again? Can I do this again? The answer is always yes. I can do it again.
Yeah. So Christine, what tips do you have to make that transition? I think you did a great job. Like if we see it as work and we forget our purpose and we forget why we're doing this, then it just becomes work. Like what are some of the things that you tell yourself when you get triggered to think it is work, so that instead you're reminded that this is my purpose, this is what I was called to do?
I allow myself a pity party. Maybe it's 8 hours, maybe it's one day, maybe it's a weekend, but I put a time limit on the pity party for myself.
Amen.
And say, okay, at this time you're going to pull yourself back up and get back at it. And then during that pity party, you usually take a little step back and look at perspective. All right, questions I've asked myself before. If you could do it all over again, what would you do again and what would you not do again? Because now is your opportunity to get rid of the crap that you don't want to do.
Amen. I agree with you. And, you know, so many in the boot camp are saying like, this has been great because like I got rid of people that I didn't really want to have anyway. So COVID kind of came in there. Like it gave me a time to really evaluate my marketing systems or my systems in general, my procedures in general, and really tweak them. So, you know, this was how many of us before COVID hit regularly said, I just don't have the time. Like I would do that thing, but I don't have the time. I would do that thing, but I don't have the time. And now you've been given all this time. And for a lot of people, now we're on this side of it and they didn't use that time wisely.
Oh, I'm guilty. I'm so guilty.
Yeah.
There was something I wanted to do and I was saving it for summer. And when the COVID hit things, I'm like, well, I guess I don't have to wait till summer. I have all this time. But I don't want to say I wasted the time. I just spent it doing different things. There was a lot of Reeducation going on. It kind of one day woke up and said, man, if I missed the mark educating my patients, why are they locking themselves in their house? Because we were calling them regularly and they're like, oh, I can't come in. I'm scared. And we were saying, well, you don't need to be scared. I understand what you saw on the TV, but you know that's not how immunity actually works. Spent a lot of time having that conversation over and over and over again.
And remember that fear takes us to the most common denominator, or the lowest common denominator of our paradigm, right? So if there was this elevated sense of, I believe what Dr. Christine says, and this is to all of you. This is why you have to do clarification, points of agreement, solution. If you've just been the talking head in your practice and there hasn't been communication back from your practice member, and they're just like, yes, 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 and then they leave, recognize you may think they're up here, but this is where they are because there hasn't been that shift where they own it themselves. And that's where I find, whiteboard topics and really just accomplishing one small piece of education. And remember, it's all about being interested more than we're interesting. It's kind of cool. Brenda Smart said, hi from Michigan. So Brenda and her family, I adjusted them. So it's always fun. 20 years ago, it's always fun to see she and her family pop up on my Facebook Lives. But I just encourage all of you to, like Christine said, ask yourself instead of beating yourself up, okay, it's my time to restart. Yeah. If I had to do it again, what would I do? Like, I can do it again. We can start with a blank slate all of the time. And for a lot of us, we're restarting our businesses. We're restarting a lot of things in our lives. So you got a clean slate. Like, what do you want it to be? And I think it's just really important to don't spend too much time in analysis. Take action.
Yeah, I love that. When you finally said, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done. Because somewhere along the way, I had become a perfectionist. I probably already was. But it wasn't until funny later in life that it started to inhibit me on stuff. And it came with tech stuff and, graphic, all the Facebook stuff that wasn't around when the first 20 years I was in practice, right? And then, when you have to do a live or a video or something, I'm reshooting it. And then you come on the scene and go, just do it. Who cares? I'm like, you know what? Yeah, nobody's going to be critiquing my hair or where my eyeballs went to or anything. They just want the information. So then I'm just like, all right, I'm just doing it. My CA would shoot one for me and she'd go, well, I don't know if I'm like, it's good enough. I'm done. Just post it. Yeah, it's good.
And there's pretty, obviously I follow some pretty high-end marketers and not one of them suggests a professional video.
Nice. Good, because I'm not getting one.
Because really and truly, because the market is so flood, saturated, individuals are really looking for authenticity. Look in your own life. What are you most attracted to? Are you if you're not attracted to me, I promise you, if you're looking for all of the edges to be polished and perfect, because that is not how I roll at all. And so I'm guessing those of you who are attracted to my brand and what I do, yes, we're very professional, but I'd rather meet with you than have it be perfect. And, I learned a long time ago, whether it's perfectionism or an introvert or an extrovert or a procrastinator, those are all labels that we assign to habits. Mm-hmm. And the perfectionist, it's really a safe place for us to stay small, to be like, well, if I can't do it perfect, I'm not going to do it at all. And it's interesting. I started this journey with the boot camp the same time a friend of mine was trying to get his online business going. And guess what? He's still learning. No launch, still learning. And I'm like, dude, just you don't need to know anything more. Like when I started the boot camp, April 17th, 2017, I had one video done. But like you, I set that deadline. I said April 17th, I'm launching it. And I had one video done. Well, because I set that deadline, it forced me to get the rest of it. And now we're like, I don't know, 600 or something.
Wow.
So I just encourage all of you, the step that you take today, it will be better tomorrow. But if you don't take the one today, you have nothing to improve upon tomorrow. So Christine, as we wrap this up, what advice do you have to somebody who isn't in our tribe and maybe is just really spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and not getting traction in their lives, and really just discouraged, or maybe they found out because of this pandemic that they're going to have to move. What advice do you have about like starting over?
I would say if somebody is spinning, then they don't really know what they want. And it was my practice every year. I would spend Christmas in Jamaica. That's where I spent Christmas. And there was at least a couple of days that I spent on the beach with a notebook doing brainstorming, scribble down anything you feel like. Christmas, that vacation at the beginning of the year was always my time to sit back and look at the previous year and go, well, what went really well and what didn't go so well and what did I like? And, do I want to keep doing that? Or which direction do I want to go? And every year I was reinventing almost every year. Yes, I still had my procedures and everything. It seemed the same to other people coming in, but there was something that was different or something that was fresh. A little something that kept things fresh and new and different. And so if someone's out there and they just don't know what to do, you got to sit down and get really clear on what you want. So if you sit with a piece of paper and just scribble your thoughts, you're going to end up honing in on the bits of scribble that you're most attracted to. And whatever that is, make that happen. And almost can't worry about the details. Just if you want that. And then if you know someone who already does that, well, then you can have a mentor. You can hire a coach. I've always done really well with coaching. You're my third business coach. Second one doesn't count. You count. The second one didn't count at all. But I've always done well with a business coach. And I've always done well with a female business coach. I don't know why that is. Maybe we just speak the same language. Yeah. But sometimes, Sean Powers was my first business coach. And she used to say, well, if you did know, what would it be? And I would look at her and go, what? And then out of my mouth, something would come. So sometimes you just need someone to help you get clear. And isn't that what I told you when I called you for the first time? I said, I just need to get clear.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of buts, and you were like, no buts.
Right.
Okay, I'm really going to like her. She's going to hold me to it.
Yeah. No buts and no, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I was on a call with a new doc the other day, and she was like, I don't know. I'm like, nope, not going to work. Like, if you did know, what would it be? And I, Mel Robbins, and I think it's Brene Brown talk about that as well, that if you did know, what would your answer be? And the I don't know is a habit, just like perfectionism or procrastination or whatever else. It's been your way to get out. Just like the number of practice members who say, I can't afford it, when really their no is nothing to do with the money. They don't really understand what you're presenting. And so there's like a cultural or societal, like, I can't afford it. And, whoa. But if we don't stop first before that financial and say, is there anything that you can foresee that would prevent you from following the care as I've laid it out here, then it's really easy just to go right into the money, and there they go. So if you did know,
what would it be? Sometimes it's just a matter of dreaming. Everybody put themselves in this box and they say, well, I can't do it that way because, and remember when I first joined, one of the things I wanted to do, I came from Illinois, and Illinois doesn't allow for any kind of gifting of care or anything, or discounts or any of that stuff. They're real strict about, especially if you've got a contract with an insurance company. Now you're bound to those fees. Florida's a little more loosey-goosey. And so I find a lot of doctors here do care packages. And it's just something for 25 years I never even bothered to look at. And it was the first thing I wanted to tackle when I joined the boot camp. And so I immediately, every week, who does care packages and who's willing to share their verbiage on them and how they go through them. And you had a section. But then a lot of these ladies stepped forward and said, oh, you can see my paperwork. You can see what I do. Here's what I say. Here's what I do. And I didn't go with any one person's thing. I just sort of went, well, I really like this. I'm not quite sure I like that. And I just made my own. And boom, 2 weeks later, I had brochures made and I was giving packages to people. Right. And also initially, I didn't think people would buy them. Deep down, I'm like, this is a nice thing to offer, but will anybody really buy them? And they all started buying them. And I'm like, okay, this just made life easier. Why was I thinking I couldn't do this?
Right. And that's part of being around others, right? Like having your people. The greatest threat to us living into our optimum potential is a low demand environment. And I'm telling you, being around a bunch of young docs who are just hungry and eager and all of that makes you just want to rock and roll, So, and all of us have a duty, a responsibility, and an obligation to help one another. And in the boot camp, I really emphasize, like, we all play a part.
Yeah.
Every single one of us. I don't care if you haven't even opened your practice yet. You have a duty, a responsibility, and an obligation to contribute because you are a human being and you have value. So, thank you so much for joining me today. Hey, there's Jen. Hey, Jen. We love you. To all of you, if there's a way in which I can help you, I also encourage you to check out, we are getting together July the 18th in Davenport, Iowa.
My birthday.
It is.
My big 50.
For our exam, cranial, and marketing peds boot camp. So I encourage you all. It will be a hands-on workshop where literally it'll be like back in school, and we are going to stay on the part we're on till everybody gets it. We're going to drill, and then we'll move on and drill, so that you literally go back into your office on Monday with way more confidence, and not just confidence, but you can carry out what you just learned. So that's July 18th in Davenport at the Current, and we have some really cool, fun things planned. So I look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks again, Christine. I appreciate it. God bless you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.